Hi guys, this is Stacey for Collected, and today I'm going to be presenting the Spatial Environment Design's final design project. So first of all, I want to touch on the client profile, so the Commons. So the Commons is a leading co-working commercial company whose main objective is to produce creative workspaces, providing an environment that allows businesses and individuals to connect and grow. So their four main focuses are on considered design, community, human-centered design, and are sustainability focused. So the narrative is quite detailed, but I wanted to touch on a few important points. So the Commons is looking to design a new co-working hair salon studio in an existing site of 12 Chambers Street in South Yarra. So the team behind Collected Design Studios are excited to present a creative design solution and showcase the area with a focus on architectural elements and representing the client. So in exploring design strategies, the aim is to revolutionize the commercial co-working experience and engage the local, new and visiting customers. So part of the design solution also involves activating the adjoining laneway for community use. The design ultimately has to generate visitors for the clients of the Commons. We took inspiration from the unique style that comes from Melbourne, the luxe that is South Yarra, and the goals and focuses from the Commons to come up with a concept that uniquely blends all of these ideas into one contemporary style. The South Yarra is famous for its lifestyle, fashion, food and culture, and our goal with this design was to turn what was once a residential Victorian and modern home into a contemporary commercial co-working hair salon. So the laneway we want to activate and turn into a communal, relaxing space that reflects the location and can be used by the salon for events and neighbouring community. So next is the planning strategy. There were several different strategies we used, but these were four of the most important. So planning each of the areas in serving versus served. So looking at how each of them supported each other and what zones were needed throughout to support each other. Natural light was also incredibly important as it was a long, narrow space. We needed to be aware of how much light was coming in and from which directions, how much light we wanted in there, and what kind of effect that light would have in the feel of the space. Modern spatial planning was also super important in a contemporary space, really making it a little bit more about open planning and zoning correctly, allowing effective circulation between the zones and removing walls to really have a little bit more of a negative space for that modern impact. The perception of space also talks to how narrow spaces are, how they feel, and how you can make them appear larger and used effectively in those zones as well. The design process talks to how we went about the project from start to finish. So initially going over the design brief, really analysing it and coming up with preliminary concepts, looking at things like site research, light and wind direction, and looking at who the commons are and exemplar projects of similar projects done previously. So the spatial concept development talks to how we went about layout options, our inspiration, looking at principles and elements, concept and mood boards, and looking towards researching sustainable materials and digital technologies to be used. Next, we went into the communication of the design and decoration scheme. So really planning out, having a look at those strategies, the element integration, mind maps, and really considering those sustainable materials, design concepts, and coming up with a narrative for the place. Lastly, we finished on looking at final CAD 3D floor plans, renders, looking at material statements, and a solid lighting selection. Lastly, then just presenting that to the client. So that was our process for designing the space. So what was really important here was the materials that were used in speaking to the sustainability. So these are some of the key features. So cement indoor flooring, terrazzo outdoor flooring, glass block partition wall, black powder coated steel finishes and fixtures, light veneer in the cabinetry, slab marble sodalite on the blue benches, black and white chunky boucle on the upcycled fabrics, plastered walls in the Dulux white cloak quarter for that contemporary look and finish, the slab stone in travertine in the bathroom and kitchen, and then the slab marble soapstone in black on those pos areas and the wash basin areas. So this was our final concept board that we came up with. So it speaks to all of those design elements and pulls out key features that we think really encapsulate how we feel in that area and what the space was going to look like in theory. So looking at colors and materials, textures, light, how they all move together, and what it could feel like as a concept. This was the CAD floor plan. So this looks to all of the fixtures and fittings that are, solid and down and not movable. So looking at where benches are in placement to each other, the door swings in relation to each other, and connecting that laneway through the back there as well. The render of the floor plan really sort of clearly shows how the space fits together, not just in terms of color, but materiality and spatial arrangement. So the first render I wanted to show you was a hero render of the front of the space. So where you walk in on the left-hand side and you see that block partition glass wall, that just allows light to come through the space, but also sort of creating zones within each of those spaces, so it's not one whole long warehouse. To the right there is where you would have your seating area, your really relaxing area, and that then connects to the POS service desk in the right there, and you can see then leads into the salon area towards the middle. So the salon area you can see more clearly here and how it's spaced out, but the key feature in this area is that glass light well with the indoor planting. So that really brings in a lot of natural light to what is a narrow, long space. So having that in the center really throws light into the middle of it where there are buildings surrounding it and not have the ability for windows. So here you can see the amount of space and the spatial planning between those salon seats on the left, the wash basins on the right, and the counter and light well, and then also towards the back where there is the wall and door, that is then the service zone. So it's really separating those areas in the layout that you can see. So what I thought was really important to show in this render was the mirror. So the 10-meter long mirror really accentuates the light and allows all of that light to bounce around the room, and again making it appear bigger in your perception of the space. Next, this would be the outdoor service area. So this is mostly used by the staff, but also, beautifully used by the clients as well in the community engagement of those spaces, used for events and photography. So this would be a snapshot of the kitchen area that has your washing machine for all of the towels and things that are used, all very sort of neat and tidy and kept really sort of contemporary. The cabinetry and everything that we've used in there is super streamlined, and finger pull finishes so that it looks very contemporary and used in a clever way. And then at the back here, you would see the courtyard area. So this is where I imagine a lot of the creativity comes out in the photography of the work, and where you would use the space as for events. And that also then connects into the laneway that's at the back. So this is the final space here, the laneway. We really wanted this to be about community engagement, appropriate for the space and the size and the location of where it is. So these buildings that surround it make it feel a little bit enclosed. So we wanted to give it lots of breathability and space, put some plants that go upwards so that you maximize the amount of floor space you had, but also integrating lots of seating, lots of lighting, and putting a bike rack at one end and some recycling bins down the other end sort of encourages that use of the space as well. So finally, I want to finish on a closing statement. So 12 Chambers Street, South Yarra was previously a dated residential home, now reimagined into a bespoke co-working salon for established commercial clients, the Commons. So the design is tailored for the client, the area, the demographic, and the period and architecture of the property. The addition of the laneway activation to the project breathes new life into the Southside area and encourages community engagement. So the design inspires creativity, celebrates collaboration, and connects with Melbourne's unique culture. So that's it for me presenting, guys. I hope you've really enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for having me. Bye.